So we have finally reached a certain corner of the DC movies that I haven't touched upon that much. The horror area. We've maybe done one? Not really, just kind of more Magic Lady, but hey, it's Swamp Thing time on this show. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Batmaning of. This is the show where we take every other character in the DC universe and give them the Batman, the movie. We're doing Swamp Thing today because I don't know why. I just think for some reason that I can't really explain, he has a very important place in the larger DC universe, just as that type of character that kind of only works within the comic book world. That's something cool. If you want to take like any other character we've kind of talked about on this channel, honestly, in these series of videos, any other character, they all have a place outside of comic book culture where people can recognize them, whether it's their TV shows or their other movies or just their iconography. Swamp Thing is essentially the most comic booky character we're going to talk about. He's also one of those characters where it's like you can pinpoint almost any single interpretation and you can get something incredibly cool from it. There's just something so perfect about that concept, the modern movie monster feel, where it's like this is a tragic character who is scorned by the world, is set to protect certain aspects of it, and everywhere in between, he is drawn into this intense love affair, whether it's just with a human woman, whether it's with the idea of protecting the world and all that kind of stuff. There's something brilliant about that, and it allows you to go into a lot of areas that I know a lot of writers want to play with, like Lovecraftian horror, this kind of Gothic tragedy you can spiral into, this like Shakespearean poem where you can, just wax poetic about these like big intense ideas about the world and existentials and just anything existential where you can just go into so many crazy ideas and themes. That is Swamp Thing. Your more larger-than-life, ethereal character who is essentially your Frankenstein, your Jekyll and Hyde, just one of those classic characters where you can take that concept and play with it. There is nothing more cool, and I stand by this forever. I love this concept of just the tragic monster. It's such like a really good beat. It's why it worked with Fantastic Four. It's why it worked with Frankenstein. Just those characters that you just fall in love with because of how they look and they don't want to be that. There's kind of that aspect to the Swamp Thing, but there's also like this obligation behind the character where they're like, look, I could maybe do something else, but I have to be here. I have to be this individual if I strive for anything more. What's the point? This is my duty. This is my purpose. I like that. Every writer likes their Swamp Thing, and that's really cool. Who doesn't want to play a Swamp Thing? The design is freaking sweet. There's never been a really shitty design of Swamp Thing. They've all looked really fun and interesting. I love that. I love what the character represents to the DC universe. I love everything about them. And I will say this, Swamp Thing is not a character I genuinely go to that often. I like when they appear up in stuff I'm reading, but Swamp Thing has never been that book I actively seek out. I've read some Swamp Thing, I will say this. Out of any other character on our list, it might be the one I am the least familiarized with because I just like other corners of the horror stuff more than Swamp Thing. I'm an Etrigan fan, I'm a Deadman fan. Those are the characters I just thrive to, but I love what Swamp Thing represents. I think that's a cool concept. I think it's a great design. Everything about it should work for me. So literally as I'm sitting here talking about it, part of me is like, I should just go buy those digital books I've been thinking about and get back into Swamp Thing. I think I might. Because that's just cool. This character is just great. Whether it's the Alan Moore stuff, the more modern stuff, the classic stuff. There's things everybody likes about this character. And they can grow into new and exciting ways. And that's kind of my personal connection to Swamp Thing. I try to talk about my personal connection to these characters to help you get an understanding of what I am looking to do with this series. The truth is, with Swamp Thing, I just think you need to play into a couple of themes. The horror, the romance, the existentialism, and the Gothic feel. It needs to feel kind of low budgeted, kind of just groupy and grimy and just kind of scary. But tragic in a way too, and I really like that energy that we could portray from here because we could go to some very exciting new routes, couldn't we? We absolutely could. Just playing in the DC magic and horror side of things, not a lot of things have happened on film that way. A lot of them have kind of fallen down, but the thing about that too, and this is kind of just like surprising in its own way. I know some people are like, well, come on, man, this is a popular character. There's been two interpretations of this character on screen in big, badass ways. There was a movie from the 80s that it tried. I know there's a lot of controversy around it. And again, it's kind of one of those things where the creature looks good, the film falls flat on its face in a lot of interpretations. And I don't really think anybody thinks highly of it, except like Len Wein, maybe. He's like, yeah, this shit's bussin', man. I love this. And then we have the reason I hesitated to do this show, honestly, is because of the 2019 Swamp Thing show on the DC Universe app. It was 10 episodes. They canceled it after those 10 episodes because of some tax bullshit in the state they were filming in. That show nailed it. I really think it nailed it for a contemporary audience. It got the tone right. It got the feel right. It got the look right. Everything about that, I think, worked really well. It looked good. It felt good. It played off well. A beautiful, gorgeous show with so much intensity and power behind it. And I know they aired it on the CW. I always tell people, if you want just like a solid 10 episodes of comic books television, that Swamp Thing show was great. Everything played up perfectly in that. And we almost nailed it. And part of me is like, do we need to do it again? Can we do it again to that aspect? I don't know if we can, because they got it right. So I'm going to do my best to make a Swamp Thing movie, even though I think the TV show did it better. And that's the thing where I'm like, well, do I want to find a movie for reference, or do I just want to copy the TV show? I'm like, well, we could copy the TV show. I personally think you should play more into just like a Guillermo del Toro feeling kind of atmosphere, where there's kind of this like ethereal nature around you at all times. This quiet, somber energy around it. That's kind of what I want to play into. I know it's not like a particular film, but kind of, I guess, Pan's Labyrinth-y, you know, like that kind of just intensity mixed with the TV show. That's what I want to do with this character. And I guess with that out of the way, we can actually jump into what my plot would be for a Swamp Thing movie, because I think it'll happen eventually. So how do you do it? First off, here's my big thing. You don't need to do Alec Baldwin. I think we get that. I don't need that whole duality to come up where it's like the origin of how this man could potentially be the Swamp Thing. You're like, oh, he's actually dead, and then this swamp just has his memories. I don't need to see that. I would rather be open up and it's just full-on Swamp Thing. He has existed for enough time where these memories start to creep up into him. I want to play it as just like, maybe there's one small reference to Alec. He's already dead in the water. And then suddenly these memories start to appear in Swamp Thing, where he's picturing these feelings he's never felt before, like betrayal, like fear, like love, like lust. And then I'm going to fudge a couple things here, so don't be offended if I change things about this character. I want it to be a little bit like Abigail Arcane kind of starts to investigate the swamp. Maybe it's for like something to do with her schooling, something to do with her job. She just comes to explore the swamp for its like supernatural tendencies. This is where she meets the Swamp Thing. And this is where you see, because he's starting to get these feelings connected to him from being connected to Alec, he sees this girl and he's like, wow, I don't know what it is about this woman, but I am drawn to her. I'm connected to her. I'm starting to love her. Something about that's interesting. And his only perception of love is kind of just like from these memories he has as Alec and Alec's life. And he's like, whoa, why am I feeling these things? He just starts getting drawn to this woman, and this woman is getting drawn to Swamp Thing. So it's like the Abigail Swamp Thing relationship I want to play out. I want to make this clear. My movie is just a straight up Gothic romance. I want this woman to be in this place, seeing this creature, learning to love it. It's learning to love her. These two people shape out of water and in essence coming together to protect each other. All the while, there's this obligation by Swamp Thing to protect the green from the thing that is trying to destroy it. The Floronic Man, one of the best names ever for a comic book character, and a really cool concept. I want this to just be like, I am drawn to this woman. Our love is so strong. She might take me away from my obligations to protect the green while this thing is trying to destroy it and destroy me and take control of it. You play with all those tensions, but I want to make it clear more than anything, it's about the romance. It's about their love, their connection, these two souls that are drawn to be connected to each other in this tragic way that you know can only end in one certainty. That's what I want to play with. That's where I want to go with this character. Have these drawn out things happen. Be very cool, very, very romantic. We need more romance in our comic book movies, folks. And if you're going to do it with the Swamp Thing, just this creature learning to love, do it. Let's get into it and have fun with it. Get crazy with it. It's a simple premise. You know, he learns to love. she learns to love him, but they realize they can maybe not stay together because of his obligations, so it ends in tragedy, but he learns to accept his place, that he's not human, he is the monster, and his job is to be the Swamp Thing. Kind of cool, kind of tragic. I love it. Now, when you're doing that, the easy option goes like Guillermo del Toro. Like, I don't want to do that. That's so easy. Everyone's going to do that. And I want to find some new faces to throw in there. So my director for my Swamp Thing film is a more recent director whose work I'm not all the familiar with, but they made this really interesting film called Where the Crawdads Sing, and her name is Olivia Newman. And I think she really captured a good spirit with that movie, and I want to make that work. And that's the other thing, too. It's kind of apparent, I think. We're not doing Alex, so we don't need a leading man. I would tell you, if it were me, you get Derek Ramirez to come back and do like the body and the size of Swamp Thing. If you can't get him, you get any number of men who would be up to do that role and just have them be the body. Maybe you can get somebody to do the voice, but I'd say just have Derek Ramirez do it. And if we're going to be doing that, I want my Abigail Arcane to be Daisy Edgar Jones, who worked in Where the Crawdads Sing. She has a really fun energy that is just waiting to be picked up by one of these big things. So if we can get her to work with Olivia again, who got her to do a lot of great stuff in that movie, absolutely. Let's see what we got. Where the Crawdads Sing meets Swamp Thing. That's what I want to see. I think that could be really cool. A tragic romance in the swamp. Ooh, baby, put it in my stomach. I want to eat it up. I love that, and I love it. And that's all I got for Swamp Thing. It's a character, again, I like and respect. Not one I'm drawn to that much, but a good Gothic tragedy in the middle of the swamp. Oof. Yummy, yummy in my tummy. Love it. So, thank you guys for watching this rendition of the Batmaning of. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.